Okay, this is the last census that we currently have available to us. It's the 1940 census. It came out about 4 years ago, so it's a relatively new census to the public. The 1940 census is really a completely different census. And in actuality, it contains very little, what do I call it, very little personal genealogical information, okay? The information about the parents' birthplaces, gone. Any reference to how long they were married, gone. There's no information about any of that. Okay, there's no information about immigration. None of that's on here. Okay, so what you've got here is a blank census. Now these are not even all of the columns. So what we'll do is we'll go to the real census and I'll show you what they are. But basically, all you get is the name and the relationship. Then you got a code, means nothing. Okay, and sex, color, and birth age, at last birthday, and your marital status. Basically, not much more other than, okay, here's the place of birth. Okay, now, I don't understand why for sure, but what they wanted to know in this one, which is what these columns are, where were you in 1935? Okay, and they have some standards that they use, and so we're going to use the same standards. They'll say, like in this column, they'll say same house. Okay, pretty self-explanatory. They were living in the same house they were back in 1935, which isn't the 1930 census or the 1935 census, just 1935. Okay, they may put in here same place. Okay. What that means is they were probably living in the same town, but not in the same house. And if they were living somewhere else, they would put the city, the county, and the state. Okay? And basically that's all there is. We get nothing much more from that other than for the fathers we get their occupation out here. So, anyway, and then let me show you a couple things. Down here, they pick two columns, or two lines, 14 and 29, and whatever person up here that lands on them, like in column 20 or line 29, then for that person and that person only, they will give a few more details, like where the father and mother were born. Okay? And a couple other stuff that doesn't make a lot of difference. Okay, and then for all the codes that you see, here's where they're listed and what they mean. But to us, they don't mean anything. Okay, so let's go look at the real census. Okay, here's the 1940 census. And in the sample, this is as far as it went, right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow this up so we can actually read what the extra columns are. Okay. And we'll just kind of look at these because they really don't mean anything to us. Get a little bit bigger. Okay, was this person? Yeah, I can't even read it. Oh, was this person at work for pay or profit in private or non-commercial government item? What? So you see what it's saying here, and it's like that's what all of this is all about. So number of hours worked, and why do we care? But here's the occupation and the industry, and again, it's the same thing we talked about before. It might say tanner, and it might say sawmill. Okay, but other than that, the rest of the columns just don't really mean much to us. So let's go back to the actual census, and we'll take a look at some of this information. Okay, so we see Emer Harris, Eliza, and 2 of the kids. And this is one of their other kids, but in a different house. Okay, so as you can see, he was born in England, or born in Utah. He's 74 years old. None of this other stuff really matters. Same house. Living in the same house as in 1935. So, let's go look at our notes. Here we are. Okay, he was in Yost, page 1A, family 1. Born in Utah. He's 74 years old. He's married, living with his family. He's a rancher and living in, and I put this all in caps here because it's not really a place. It's a sentence, or I don't even know what you call it. But for the same house and same place, this is what I put in. Okay. If it's somewhere else, I would say lived in, and then I put the city, state, or city, county, state in 1935. Okay, so that would be the difference between the 3 of them. But for the same house and the same place, I say living in the same place or the same house as in 1935, because that's what the column says. Okay? So yeah, the 1940 lost a lot of stuff, and it's completely different than the others, but doesn't really do much else for us. So basically, that's the end of the 1940 census.